Assalamualaikum, hello and welcome to ASEAN Kita. I'm Amirul Aiman and joining me is my co-host Farhan Hakimi. ASEAN Kita is a special series where we explore the immense potential of ASEAN as a region, and in this series we celebrate the cultures, innovation and the potential of Southeast Asia. And each episode will spotlight ASEAN countries, its cultural identity, its uniqueness and collective role in shaping the region's future.
Yeah, and for today's episode, we will delve into a topic that is central to ASEAN's future, which is how ASEAN can be the next big thing. And joining us to unpack these questions is a distinguished leader who has been at the forefront of ASEAN's evolution, Sri Syed Hamid Albar, a seasoned diplomat, former Malaysian foreign minister. And so let's begin this exciting conversation with Tan Sri. Good morning, Tan Sri. It is an honor to have you here. And perhaps you can share some of your experience as a seasoned diplomat and former chair of ASEAN. How would you assess ASEAN's journey so far, and has the region met the expectations of its founding vision?
Thank you, Farhan, for the question as well as the introduction. I think the most important thing is that Malaysia considers ASEAN as the cornerstone of our foreign policy. And then whatever we want to do in the external dimension, we always consider our position in ASEAN. And definitely ASEAN as an association of 10 member countries give us that added strength and resilience of the region, give us more confidence. So, and I think we are fortunate to see that the evolution of ASEAN has been remarkable. We have gone very well. Of course, there are challenges, but those challenges have made us to be able to play our role and play our part. I think when ASEAN was formed, the intention of the founding fathers then was to see ASEAN as a region is respected, credible, and we do not want it to be a platform for big power rivalry. Of course, this has changed now, big power rivalry. So that has benefited us a lot. So I think if you look in terms of stability, security, economic cooperation, it's a success story. The only thing that people tend to talk negatively about ASEAN usually is on our political and social integration. That part, there are issues because ASEAN has never had a common position on politics or on social integration. That's still a long way to go. But it is better to be a part of a region of 600 over million people than to be Malaysia of 30 such over million people. So it's good for us, positive.
Tan Sri, you mentioned ASEAN has its own challenges. In your opinion, which specific area is these challenges? Is it political or economical or maybe social, Tan Sri?
I think I look at, in the international front, we have never expressed our collective view. So even if there is a global crisis anywhere, ASEAN to be standing, looking at the things, in each country will say its own thing. We do not come together to say this is the ASEAN position. So I think that is the challenges that I'm talking about. How do we create unity within us? How do we have a shared vision of our future? And I think this relates a lot to how we want to see ourselves playing a role in a global affairs. If we don't have a common position, we won't be able to play a role in a global affairs. But this does not mean that ASEAN as a regional organization has not succeeded. We have succeeded, but we still have to take greater stride, greater move for us to take a united position on certain important issues that is happening, like human rights, climate change. All these things are global issues that we should be able to, because we have got problems about deforestation, we have a problem of human trafficking, illegal logging, all kind of things. So where we can work and show that we have leadership.
True.
At present, I think that seems to be missing. People tend not to see, oh, ASEAN is playing safe too much, you know. So, but I think it's not playing safe. It's a, you know, to change a culture is not easy. Each ASEAN is so diverse. Development, we have got gaps between ASEAN. Our political development also, there are gaps in ASEAN. Our democracy also, there are gaps between ASEAN. Different level of economic development, different level of political development. So I think it will still take time, but I think we can see at the end of it the great benefit that we can achieve and gain from being together and try to have a common position on certain issues.
And I think many also regard ASEAN as the most stable region, and also, you know, for each of its nation is at least not segregated in most issues, right? And also many describe ASEAN as a sleeping giant. So what, in your view, will it take for ASEAN to become a truly global leader?
I think I do not know whether we are sleeping giant, but we are definitely a big group, an important group, because we have, in terms of human resources, in terms of, you know, natural resources, we are very rich in everything. So, but I think what we have shown anyway in the global affairs, because you're more interested, because your generation, ASEAN, is population. 60% of its population is below 35, you know. So it's a very young population. If you want to be there, we cannot play a passive role. That means we have to change our position to be sometimes more radical, sometimes proactive. Then people, you know, in every global affairs, we are there. We have got our position. You see, ASEAN has got the advantage because we are not involved in many of the crises.
In what ways we can do that?
We can do that as a facilitator, as a peace builder, as a bridge where we can bring, you know, the parties in conflict together. So if you look at ASEAN since our as independent of the various countries and since our formation, we really have no physical conflict or military conflict except for the, you know, the Cambodian time, you know, that ultimately was resolved. But we have got some conflict that we should be showing the leadership that we can solve it. We have not been able to solve. There is like, you know, environment issue or Myanmar issue. So all this type of thing. But people have would like to see ASEAN have that, so that especially the big powers. When you're dealing with the big powers, there is a tendency for hegemony. There is a tendency to dominate. But individually, we can't play a role, but as a region, we are important. We are a great exporter of, you know, some of our countries are industrialized, like Malaysia, semiconductor, we are at the top of the world, you know, microchips, all these things. So Vietnam is doing very well, Indonesia is doing well, and Singapore is doing well. So I think it's about time that we should set aside our and look at the collective interests of ASEAN. Even in the case of the South China Sea, you know, so we should deal it together, because if one ASEAN country or few ASEAN countries have got problem, we should take it as an ASEAN project. Together we can fight our. So that's how I look at it. So cannot be passive. You must be there in front. You know?
Tan Sri, it's interesting that you mentioned that ASEAN is a large bloc with huge potential, but with 60% of ASEAN's population is under 35. How can this young demographic drive innovation and global competitiveness? Are the governments in ASEAN bloc doing enough to nurture these young people's potential? Tan Sri?
My own view. This is my own view. I think we have not empowered enough the young, the youth. You know, I think it's about time that we empower the youth in terms of education and in terms of skill training. And the youth are, you know, they are exposed to things and they are very good at it. I think all over the world, the youth are playing a role. Except in our part, the youth is still at the background, whether in the political area, in the economic area. So when I see any young leaders, whether in the economic field or in entrepreneurship, oh, I like that, because then there is a future for the, for the country. But if you rely on the old narrative without giving empowerment means that you give opportunity. Let them handle the challenges that the future generation will inherit. And this, I think, is important.
And yeah, regarding the South China Sea and the US-China rivalry with the growing tensions in the region, right? Some people in the Philippines, I've read that they said that we are not doing enough to help them. How can actually ASEAN maintain unity and assert itself on the global stage without being overshadowed by major powers? And what we can do to help, those who are in need of help?
No, I think it's a question of not being overshadowed. It's a question of being there.
Okay.
You must be seen to have a meaning in your presence, in your statement. There must be a political will, and you must have a shared vision, that ASEAN is big. We are bigger than the US. And I think we were even bigger than the European Union.
Yeah.
And we have got natural resources, not depleted. So I think it's about time that we must say, we embrace, but we do not want conflict to be brought into our doorsteps. Rivalry is not good. Cooperation is good. I think we should play a role that, look, both China and US will benefit if they cooperate and work together for world peace, for security, for contributing to the world, to a better world that we are seeking for.
Actually, still within geopolitical dynamics in South China Sea issue, ASEAN has often been praised for its maintaining peace on the region, its neutrality. But are you saying that ASEAN should be more assertive in their stance towards South China Sea?
What is our interest? We must be assertive. If you want to play at the background, the major powers or the big powers are very assertive. And we must not allow anybody, I think, major powers to place one of us against the other. Say, for example, the overlapping claims in the South China Sea. And they are court decision, and our relationship with China is very good. I think during my time, we got the deep declaration of the South China Sea. We promised there will be a conduct COC to be. Until now, we haven't resolved that. But ASEAN members cannot say, oh, the overlapping claim only between 4 countries and China. It's the whole, whatever happened in the South China Sea, how we resolved it, it's for the benefit of ASEAN as a whole. So all of us must take a common position, help each other, augment each other, strengthen each other, and having a position. I think there is always a tendency for, how do you deal with China that has become a great economic power, a great military power, that is more assertive in its foreign policy. We must also move with dictates and demand of time. We cannot say, oh, never mind, we get the benefit of the China punya belt policy and all sort of thing. But we also want to maintain our sovereignty. We want to maintain, I now don't like people to talk about non-interference, because this interference, while it is positive, it has also got its negative effects. So I prefer that we should, now ASEAN should have what I call a constructive interference. Constructive interference. Sometimes you have to interfere in order to assert your rights, and this is asserting our rights.
Right, Tan Sri, we have unpacked some fascinating insights into ASEAN's journey and its immense potential to become a global powerhouse. But there's still so much more to discuss with Tan Sri, but we will continue the conversation right after this break. Right, welcome back to ASEAN Kita. If you are just joining us, we are exploring how ASEAN can be the next big thing with our esteemed guest, Sri Syed Hamid Albar. And before the break, we have discussed ASEAN's progress and its potential as a global leader. And let's continue the conversation by diving into some of the questions that we have not unpacked yet about ASEAN's diversity. And Sri, ASEAN is very diverse, but also unequal, with stark economic disparities between members like Singapore and Laos. How can ASEAN ensure more inclusive growth to lift up its less developed members?
I think we have got a lot of policies within ASEAN where we can narrow the gap, narrow the gap through investment, through us investing in each other's country. I think we have made progress in terms of creating a more free trade area, less tariff, goods within ASEAN. Because some of the ASEAN countries are either landlocked, or they are too small to make, But I think even countries like Brunei, they have taken advantage not only to depend on their oil and gas, but they have also developed an island together with the Chinese, develop an island where they want to make the container port and also I think where accessibility, So I think we should focus more on economics. It's easier for us to, and it will benefit the population. And I think at present, traveling within ASEAN country is still difficult, And then even to go to Myanmar, say for example, Myanmar and Thailand, they have got a free movement. The rest all have to apply for visa and also. So I think we must look at the impediment, focus on the impediment and get rid of them. Get rid of the impediment so the ASEAN will be seen as one. If you are not seen, as one, then it's very difficult. We do not have, we don't even make symbolic gestures. So there is a need for them, more discussion, more. I think I used to say, to try to sell the idea of one ASEAN, and did a song on one ASEAN and all sort of thing. And I think Malaysia is a potpourri of this diversity. So I hope within a short time that we are going to be the chairman, we would be able to play that role. There is a lot of advantages that you can tabulate by working together rather than working separately. There should be free travel, there should be, of course, there is some, there is political identity, there is nationalism, in this age. But I think, notwithstanding the contradiction, the differences, we must look at the bottom line, what is the benefit?
But is it possible to make something like what the EU implements? For example, like they let people from their country to move into another country freely. Is it something possible?
I think that will take a long, long time because we have got different population dynamics, I think you have to look at the issue of nation building, nation building in each ASEAN country has to be, we have to look at it, I think, in a fresh way, different way. The dynamics of the world have changed. Geopolitical thing has changed. We must concentrate on not only geo-economics, but we must concentrate on geopolitics. Because geopolitics ultimately are the determinant of relationship, international relations, diplomacy. So it is something that, but to do that, we must be able to put our house in order to be respected. We must put ourselves.
Sri, still within economical perspective of ASEAN, do you think there should be targeted support for less developed members such as Laos, Cambodia and Myanmar? Do you think there should be specific policies or initiatives that should ASEAN implement to uplift these economies, Sri?
I think actually there are plans, like we have at one time Hanoi plan, this plan, that plan, where we work even with our dialogue partners in order to narrow the gap. Say for example on the digital gap. That's how Vietnam has benefited. And I think we need, the specific program are there. but it must be, which means, in order for you to have that, we talk about European Union. Don't talk about European Union because we have no intention of copying or replicating the European Union because of our different dynamics. So, but I think it is important for us to focus on certain matters there where we don't have sensitivity, where there is no sensitivity. At present, we are not able even to tackle human trafficking. Drug problem, you know, we are not even be able to. The 5-point consensus remain, I think, a statement of intention. So all these things. So I think we must take stronger action against each other also. If we want to develop into unity and cohesiveness, you know, if there is something wrong, we take action against in order to correct the direction, but not to punish.
And I think it is best also to ask your opinions regarding what has sparked some discourse amongst Malaysians regarding the very contentious decision of our Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, who appointed former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra as his informal advisor when Kuala Lumpur takes over as ASEAN Chair in 2025. What do you think of this decision?
I think the Prime Minister has got discretion. He can do what he wants to do. But I think he must also be sensitive to some very contentious thing.
Yes.
I think he has got his reasons why he thinks that Thaksin will be useful as an informal advisor to him personally, which he has stressed. But I think the ramification is that Thaksin has never happened before. Of course, it will be subject of polemic and debate. No foreign leader before has been made an advisor, whether personal or to the government of another country for the purpose of ASEAN Chairmanship. So we need to tap our own resources within the country and all sort of things. So I think now it's an interesting debate. People, and Thaksin has got his own record, and where the issue become more interesting. Even I'm not talking about only Malaysian discussing, even other countries are talking about it. So I think maybe the Prime Minister can explain the reasons, the wisdom of taking such a move. And I think that's good, because we are going to be the chairman. The chairman is seen to be proactive, can make its own, given within the 1 year that we lead, to show our own direction. People do not want to, ini adalah, this is because of the influence of somebody or someone. So I think, to me, he should be more cautious about this one.
Tan Sri, as Malaysia prepares to chair ASEAN in 2025, what should our top priority be to steer the region towards becoming the next big thing, Tan Sri?
I think as we prepare ourselves to chair ASEAN, I think our Malaysia priority should be to strengthen ASEAN's, our priority, geopolitical relevance. This is important because ASEAN is, people crack jokes about our geopolitical relevance, not our importance, our geopolitical relevance. This means that we must make it, now of course we say inclusivity, sustainability, 2 areas that we have mentioned, but it should also include what we have done before, and Malaysia has taken the lead in creating of zone of peace, freedom and neutrality. It should be incorporated into this. In order to do this, we will be able to create greater unity in the global power shifts. There's a lot of power shifts now taking place very fast. So Malaysia we are placed at an opportune moment to do that, to show that we can take the lead. Malaysia will focus on the other thing that we can focus. We have got the advantage is on the digital transformation. So we should be able to become the leader in global digital economy, all this kind of thing. So the opportunity for Malaysia, the chances for Malaysia to show the difference in its leadership is there.
Right.
Thank you. And that was Tan Sri Syed Hamid Albar, former foreign minister and a seasoned diplomat, sharing us our thoughts on how Malaysia's chairmanship on ASEAN 2025. It's an exciting time for us to step forward and lead the region into the brighter future. To our viewers, thank you for tuning into ASEAN Kita in this episode. Don't miss our next episode where we continue to explore ASEAN's journey and its what lies ahead on its journey.
And I think until then, I'm Farhan Hakimi.
And I'm Amir Rahman. Salam hormat. Kita jumpa lagi.